discuss about issue of national security. So earlier today, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, says Nigeria is not on the brink of collapse, but on a clear path to economic growth and security stability. The minister will said that these while highlighting improvements in security operations, economic performance, and foreign investment as signs of national resilience at the second edition of the Voice of Nigeria Forum 2026 in Abuja. Take a listen to the minister.
Nigeria is not on the brink of any collapse. We have heard these stories over and over and over again. Those who are peddling these stories are also preparing how to live in Nigeria. You cannot have a country that is about to collapse and you are there planning on how to live within it. The private sector, civil society, and other international partners. Indeed, confronting our challenges and identifying pathways forward is a collective responsibility. We have a duty, all of us, to sustain democracy across the African continent. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is focused on firmly situating Nigeria as Africa's foremost nation, and that is why we must reject the utterly false narrative that the country is on the brink of collapse.
That's Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris there, giving some information about the position of the federal government on the state of the nation. However, the nation's security situation has come under a global scrutiny. And after the United States expanded its travel advisory and authorized the departure of non-essential embassy staff from Abuja, citing worsening threats across multiple regions. This comes as Nigerian authorities is insisting that the country is not on the brink of collapse, even amidst persistent attacks by insurgents, bandits, and criminal gangs. In Borno State, for example, troops under Operation Hiding Kai have repaired a midnight assault on a military formation in Beniski, though the defense headquarters confirmed that some soldiers were killed in the line of duty, with over half of Nigeria's state now flagged under high-risk travel warnings. Questions are mounting about the true scale of insecurity and its implications for national stability, investor confidence, and international partnerships. Let's get some insight into what this means. If the federal government is saying Nigeria is safe, America doesn't think it is, what exactly is the true picture of things? Mr. Kabir Adamu, Dr. Kabir Adamu, that is, he's a security consultant. He's live for us on the program tonight. Thanks so much, Dr. Adamu, and thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
My pleasure, Sean. Good evening.
Thank you so much. The federal government says Nigeria is not on the brink of collapse. Based on your own assessment, America is acting as though Nigeria is under some kind of insecurity and red alert. What do we believe?
So, I think it's important to distinguish between two developments that are critical. The one that the minister responded to, that you heard, which was in response to a statement by a coalition of civil society organizations that, in a bizarre way, said Nigeria is on the brink of collapse. And so the minister was responding to that statement. But then, again, earlier today, the United States released an alert, an advisory, where it authorized departure for non-essential staff, and then, of course, the families of staff, which is a routine thing that the embassy does from time to time, and we want to believe that it does that on the basis of intelligence. The reality is that, yes, we do have security challenges, and as you know, my organization keeps tabs of such developments. We publish reports. In fact, we just published our March report that showed in very clear terms, the number of people that died in the month of March was 770. It also showed the trend of changing security challenges. So clearly, there are security challenges in Nigeria. But then, because the advisory by the United States Embassy was specific to Abuja, what we tried to do was to look at the security situation in Abuja over the last period, and then to answer the question whether there is a deterioration at the moment of the security situation in Abuja. And the answer is no, there is no deterioration. So one is a little bit surprised about the, the advisory by the United States Embassy, especially since it is specific to Abuja. Yes, it mentioned about 23 other states, but that's routine. From time to time, the U.S. State Department, through its embassy in Abuja here, releases that kind of advisory for U.S. citizens that affect states in Nigeria on the basis of their perception of risk to Americans in those locations. Now, this release has three implications for Nigeria that I think is very important for the Nigerian government to take into consideration. Number one, our international reputation. Number two, our diplomatic relationship with other countries. And then number three, domestic politics. Already you would hear the opposition party, others would raise that question. So these are issues that I think going forward, we need to really discuss. And I noticed that the Ministry of Information and National Orientation released a statement on this American advisory today, where it highlighted these 3 points that I've noticed. I think beyond that, there is a lot that the government can do, and hopefully time would allow us to discuss that.
So my question right now is that whatever perspective that you're having, and look, you see senior military officers being killed by these insurgents. There are some wins that we have seen, but we saw what happened in Niger, how they sacked a community. We saw what happened in Borno. The audacity of these insurgents to enter into military bases and to attack installations of military, fortified military installations calls for a bigger question on the state of security in the country. So, as an expert, I'd like to ask you, how would you characterize Nigeria's current security situation? Would you say is a crisis situation, instability, or controlled risk?
I would just say Nigeria is challenged. There is a security challenge in Nigeria, and the challenge is multifaceted. In fact, we've used the term polycrisis to describe the security challenge that Nigeria has. But I mean, Sheun, it's very important that we also take note. I did mention that there are three dimensions to this issue. When we attempted to do a bit of sentiment analysis today on social media, in fact, a significant number of Nigerians are asking the relevant question. There is a U.S. troop deployment in Nigeria. Nigeria has a working group, joint working group with the United States. Some are even suggesting, and they are using data to make that suggestion, that since the U.S. bombed Sokoto, Niger in December, there has been an increase. So they are asking the relevant question, why is it that with this U.S. presence, we're seeing an increase in security challenges? So it's not as simple as that. Nigeria is security challenged, and I personally, as you know, I've discussed on your program in other platforms, the need for enhanced security sector reform and security sector governance in Nigeria. There is no gainsaying that fact. But then, coming from an ally that already has presence in Nigeria, I think begs significant questions. What is the intention of that ally? And
but Dr. Adamu, the reason, America has got a lot of intelligence. They've got eyes on the ground across the skies that is sometimes to precision, and we've seen this happen. Their own intelligence report that has led them to take that risk assessment and advisory for their own staff, it goes a long way. And something that we probably don't know that we need to be reasoning about and probing. But an attack on a brigade level formation in Borno, Dr. Adamu, how significant is that in military terms? Does this suggest intelligence gaps, operational lapses, or simply evolving insurgents tactics that is gradually becoming too technical for us to handle?
Shehu, let me start with your first point around America's access to intelligence. I've said this before, that access is not better than what, if Nigeria's capability were harnessed, the U.S. would use most likely technical intelligence, SIGINT, and other aspects, but we have human intelligence if we had harnessed it. So our capabilities are much more greater locally in Nigeria than that of the U.S. if only we would harness it. Now, the second point is this, and this may shock a lot of us. We do have a liaison intelligence agreement with the United States, which compels them, if they have intelligence at their disposal, to share with us on the grounds that we are going to protect the integrity of that information and intelligence that they share with us. So that's a conversation for discussion on another day. Now, with regards to the expectation of security protection around a brigade, which roughly, by my estimation, will come to maybe 2,500 personnel. Now, it is mind-boggling. And in fact, it requires an investigation of immediacy by the Ministry of Defense, by the Chief of Defense Staff, to understand how a commander with supposedly 2,500 personnel with military arsenals could be gone down in the manner that the brigade commander was gone down in Beneshek. Beneshek is a town on the Damaturu-Meduguri road. So we're not talking of a remote area. We're talking of a town that is on a major artery that should never have come under this type of attack. So it does require an investigation. Absolutely. And I'm hoping that's what we'll do.
Dr. Adamu, thanks so much indeed for your time. I appreciate your time tonight. Well, that's how far we can go. We hope things get better in the coming days. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm Sean Wakimale. God bless Nigeria.